In addition to all the new stuff that has come out, 2024 was also a great year for vintage turtles. And The Simpsons and Space Jam and throw in some Happy Meal toys, you get the idea. If it's from the 80s or 90s, I'm likely to pick it up. These are my best vintage toy finds of 2024. Of course, we'll start with a TMNT. I got the Egg Crackin' Turtles, the Jim Lee line was fun. I've always wanted a vintage Irma, and these transforming turtles are always a hit. I even managed to finish off the Sewer Sports hockey set. But when it comes to the best of the best TMNT pickups, I had to pick just a couple. The first one I made a reel on not too long ago is this Itty Bitty Krang figure I got as a gift from the nostalgic dog dad. I was never going to find one on my own, so thanks so much for that. Another favorite was this Coming Out of Their Shells Tour hat that I picked up from Cowabunga Toys. It's got some incredible artwork all the way around and even this big logo up on top. The only thing that would make it better is if it actually fit my head. But if I had to pick a best vintage TMNT pickup, it might be this Raphael Turtle in a Turtle mini playset. I was lucky to find this in nearly complete condition, and this thing combines some of my favorite things about vintage toys. On its own, it almost looks like a giant turtle, but then it's also a mini playset inside. Now, I definitely have to pick up the other three brothers eventually. Steering away from TMNT, one of my favorite unexpected finds of this year was this pair of Bandai Mega Man figures. The Mega Man itself is not in the best shape as someone tried to do a custom job on it, so I am in the process of getting this back to its original state, but it's still a cool figure to find. If I had known this line existed as a kid, I would have been all over it back then. Then, as I kept looking through some loose baggies on the wall, I was able to find Rush as well. For $3 or $4 each, this was definitely one of my luckiest scores. I started off the year kind of obsessed with dinosaur stuff, and I was able to find some pretty cool pieces. I got a few different bootleg things, including this Earl Sinclair with troll hair. They seem to have ripped off the exact model of the vintage toy, but just added that mop on top. And then this one took a trip about halfway around the world to get to me, but it's another bootleg Earl. It's really squishy like a dog toy, but it doesn't have a squeaker inside. But one of my favorite Dinosaurus pieces that I added is this baby Sinclair watch. I just love the details on all these old 90s watches from all sorts of different properties, and this is one of the best. Next up is a toy I have a few loose versions of, but never a complete one, and this is my first complete loose Snalien. This is a line I had a ton of fun with as a kid, but of course lost all those figures over time. I was able to get this one complete from Busters of the Universe over on Instagram, and as you can see, there are a ton of little pieces to track down. You've got the little buddy figure, the exoskeleton armor, and then inside the main figure itself. Then they each come with two of these little squishy bombs. And then the biggest gimmick of this toy line is this half rubber ball, that if it wasn't so old, you could flip it inside out and fling the little buddy and bombs all around the room. Snaliens are definitely a cool line to keep your eye out for. One of my biggest collections other than Turtles is actually Space Jam, but I didn't get a chance to add too many pieces this year. But here's one thing that's kind of fun. While the box alone for this item is pretty cool, I mean look at those space blasters you can cut out from the back. Like anything else, you know it's what's inside that counts the most. And inside this box, we have a fresh, brand new pair of Lola Bunny slippers. I'm pretty sure these things were never worn. I don't know how they stood up to the test of time. I mean, check out the other one. It's still wrapped in this white paper. Again, this is another clothing item that I will never actually be able to wear, but it's cool on the shelf. All these pickups are kind of hard to rank altogether, but I was able to come up with a top 3. Coming in third place are these Long John Silver Stone Protector muscle figures. Stone Protectors are weird enough on their own, but when you combine them with these little rubber figurines and a Happy Meal toy, I just don't know how you can get much better than that. I was able to track down 3 of I think 7 or 8 total figures in the line. These are something I've been looking for a long time and finally just resorted to picking up a few off of eBay. Not the coolest story overall of how they came to be a part of my collection, but I am definitely happy to have them and to add them to my troll shelf. And now that I have a few of them, I've got to get the rest. Number 2 is actually the biggest vintage toy I added this year, and it's the talking baby Sinclair. I got this as a birthday gift back in August, and it actually included the original box as well. And yes, it still talks. So of all the cool dinosaur stuff I picked up this year, this is definitely the best. And here it is, my number 1 vintage toy pickup of the year. We'll start off with just a little tease from the same line to see if you can guess what it's gonna be. This Mighty Max lunchbox was definitely a cool addition to that collection. And if you think the number 1 addition to my collection is gonna be a Mighty Max playset, you would be kind of right. It is a playset, but it's also a watch, and it's also in its original packaging. I've been on the hunt for one of these Skull Dungeon Mighty Max watches since I started collecting, and I never thought I'd find one for such a great price still in the package, so thanks to the nostalgic dog dad for that as well. but it's basically a on-your-wrist version of this classic Skull Dungeon set, which was absolutely one of my very favorite toys as a kid. The only problem with having it in package is that you can't actually see the front of the display, but I'll still take it. So there we have it, some of my favorite vintage pickups for the year. Let me know which pieces were your favorite and what other lines you think I should check out in 2025. Thanks for watching!